Cameron, sweetie, could you grab Dad's medication? The guests will be here soon, and I need you to make sure he's presentable. I paused in the doorway, watching my mother Eloise fuss over the dining room centerpiece for the third time in 10 minutes. The irony wasn't lost on me. She wanted Dad presentable, but hadn't actually looked at him in weeks. My name is Cameron, and 3 years ago, I had a corner office on the 32nd floor of a Manhattan high-rise. Today, I'm crushing pills into applesauce and pretending my life didn't implode the day Dad's car wrapped around that oak tree. Sure, Mom. I headed toward the kitchen where Dad's evening cocktail of medications waited in their little plastic organizer. Tuesday through Sunday, same routine. Crush, mix, feed, clean, repeat. Oh, and Cameron? Eloise called after me. Naomi's bringing her ring light for photos. Try to, maybe put on something nice. The red sweater I bought you last Christmas. I looked down at my gray sweatpants and oversized hoodie. Comfort clothes. Caregiver clothes. Invisible clothes. I'll see what I can do. The medication ritual took 15 minutes. Dad couldn't swallow pills anymore. Another delightful side effect of his traumatic brain injury. As I spooned the mixture into his mouth, he made eye contact. Sometimes I wondered how much he understood, trapped in there. Big dinner tonight, Dad. Naomi's coming with her camera crew. I wiped his chin gently. Well, not a crew exactly, just her phone and that ridiculous light. His eyes tracked my movement. He'd been a construction foreman before the accident, built half the houses in our neighborhood with his own hands. Now he couldn't hold a spoon. Cameron! Naomi's voice rang through the house like a fire alarm. I'm here! Where's my favorite sister? Only sister, I thought, but I called back. In Dad's room. Naomi appeared in the doorway, phone already in hand, ring light clipped to the top. She looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. Perfectly curled blonde hair, makeup that probably took an hour, designer jeans that cost more than I spent on groceries in a month. There's our saint. She aimed the phone at me. Look at this angel, everyone. Still in her work clothes, taking care of Dad like the hero she is. Work clothes. Right. Naomi, I'm not really... Say hi to my followers, Cam. She flipped the camera to include both of us. This is my incredible big sister who gave up everything to care for our father. Isn't she amazing? The comments started flooding in immediately. Heart emojis, prayer hands. You're so blessed to have her messages. I watched the little hearts pile up on the screen while Naomi beamed at her phone. Okay, that's enough for now. She lowered the device. Mom wants family photos before dinner. Can you please change? This whole... She gestured vaguely at my outfit. Isn't really the vibe we're going for. What vibe is that exactly? Put together family, successful daughters, that kind of thing. She was already scrolling through the comments. Oh my God, someone wants to know about your skincare routine. Should I tell them it's exhaustion and dry shampoo? She laughed like it was the funniest joke in the world. I stared at her for a long moment. I'll go change. You're the best. Oh, and can you make sure Dad's hair is combed? It's sticking up in the back. 20 minutes later, I emerged in the red sweater, tags still attached because I'd never actually worn it, to find our dining room transformed into a photo studio. Naomi had set up her ring light on a tripod and was directing Mom on proper, candid poses. Perfect. Now look like you're laughing at something I said. Click. Beautiful. Now let's get one with Cameron and Dad. The next hour was a carefully choreographed performance. Naomi captured spontaneous moments of family togetherness, while I pushed Dad's wheelchair and made sure he didn't drool on his good shirt. Every few minutes, she'd check her phone and squeal about the engagement numbers. This one's already got 300 likes. Look, goals. Your family is so inspiring. Oh, and someone shared it to their story. I helped Dad with his dinner while Naomi live-streamed herself eating Mom's roast, describing our beautiful family tradition to her audience. She mentioned me exactly twice, once as the caregiver sister, and once to joke about how I never leaves the house anymore, so we have to bring the party to her. Her followers ate it up. After dinner, I wheeled Dad back to his room for his evening routine. The house felt quieter here, away from Naomi's performance and Mom's anxious hosting. I was adjusting his pillows when I noticed the baby monitor on his nightstand, the receiver we used to hear him if he needed help during the night. The little green light was on. I could hear voices drifting through the speaker from the kitchen. I reached for the monitor to turn it off, but Naomi's voice stopped me cold. Honestly think she has any idea how this looks. Like, I love Cameron, but the whole hermit thing is getting weird. My hand froze over the power button. Keep your voice down, Mom whispered. She might hear you. She's upstairs with Dad. Besides, someone needs to say it. Naomi's voice came through crystal clear. I mean, I get it, family duty and all that, but it's been 3 years. 3 years, Mom. She looks like she hasn't seen sunlight since 2020. I sank into the chair beside Dad's bed. He was already asleep, breathing steadily, completely unaware that his daughters were dissecting my life in the kitchen below. She's doing her best, Naomi. Is she, though? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like she's given up. And honestly, it's starting to reflect badly on all of us. What do you mean? I mean, when people ask about Cameron, what am I supposed to say? Oh, she used to have this amazing job in the city, but now she wears the same sweatpants every day and hasn't been on a date since Obama was president. It's depressing. The baby monitor crackled slightly. I could hear Mom loading the dishwasher, the clink of plates and silverware. She sacrificed a lot for this family, Mom said, but her voice lacked conviction. Sacrificed what exactly? A job she probably would have gotten fired from anyway? Let's be real, Mom. Cameron was always kind of intense. Remember how she used to micromanage everything? Maybe this is just who she is now. Naomi, that's not fair, isn't it? Look, I'm grateful she stepped up when Dad got hurt. I really am. But it's not like she had a ton of other options. No boyfriend, no kids, no real ties to the city. This was probably easier than figuring out her actual life. I gripped the monitor so hard my knuckles went white. Besides, Naomi continued, it's not like she's doing it for free. She gets Dad's disability checks, plus that settlement money from the accident. When you think about it, she's basically getting paid to live here rent-free. The settlement money goes to his medical expenses. Some of it, but come on, Mom. Physical therapy twice a week and some medications? That's not exactly breaking the bank. She's sitting pretty while the rest of us have to actually work for a living. The dishwasher door slammed shut. I should check on your father, Mom said. Wait, I'm not done. I need to talk to you about something. Footsteps. Mom must have sat back down. What is it? I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think we need to have a conversation with Cameron about expectations. What kind of expectations? Long-term ones, like what's the plan here? Is she going to live in this house forever? Because I hate to be the one to bring this up, but Dad's not getting better. And when he, what happens then? Silence. Then Mom's voice, quieter now. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. Well, maybe you should, because right now, Cameron has 0 job prospects, 0 social life, and 0 plan for the future. She's completely dependent on this situation, and that's not healthy for anyone. She's not dependent. Mom, she is. Think about it. When's the last time she left this house for something that wasn't Dad-related? When's the last time she had a conversation with someone who wasn't family? She's becoming one of those people who just disappears. And honestly, it's kind of sad. More silence. I could picture Mom fidgeting with her wedding ring, the way she did when she was uncomfortable. Maybe we should encourage her to get out more, Mom said finally. How? She won't leave Dad alone for more than an hour, and it's not like she has friends anymore. Remember Sydney, her old roommate? She stopped calling months ago. My chest tightened. Sydney had stopped calling because I'd stopped answering. Every conversation felt like explaining why I couldn't meet for coffee, couldn't come to her birthday party, couldn't be the friend she deserved. I just think, Naomi continued, that maybe we're enabling her. Like, what if we hired someone to help a few days a week? Give her some space to figure out what she actually wants to do with her life. Those services are expensive. More expensive than supporting a 32-year-old woman indefinitely. The words hit like a slap, supporting me, like I was some kind of burden they were carrying out of obligation. Cameron contributes to this household, Mom said, but even she sounded uncertain now. Does she? Or does she just exist here? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like she's found the perfect excuse to avoid growing up. And we're all just pretending it's noble. I heard chairs scraping against the kitchen floor. I should really check on Dad, Mom said. Just think about what I said, okay? I love Cameron, I do. But love means being honest sometimes. And honestly, this isn't living. This is just waiting to die. Footsteps approached the stairs. I quickly turned off the monitor and arranged myself in the chair like I'd been reading, grabbing a magazine from Dad's nightstand. Mom appeared in the doorway a moment later. How's he doing? Fine. Sleeping peacefully. I kept my voice steady, normal. The medication seems to be helping with the restlessness. She nodded, glancing around the room like she was seeing it for the first time. Dad's hospital bed, the wheelchair in the corner, the medical supplies organized on every surface. You should get some rest too, sweetheart. It's been a long day. I will. Just want to finish this article. She hesitated in the doorway. Cameron, you know we appreciate everything you do, right? I looked up at her, this woman who just stood by while my sister called me a professional dependent, a woman waiting to die. Of course, Mom, I know. She smiled and disappeared down the hallway. I sat in the dark for a long time after that, listening to Dad breathe and thinking about the word enabling. I waited until I heard Mom's bedroom door close before turning the monitor back on. The kitchen was quiet now, but I could hear movement in the living room. Naomi was probably editing her photos, crafting the perfect caption about our blessed family dinner. My phone was on Dad's dresser. I grabbed it and opened the voice recorder app, then positioned it next to the baby monitor. If they were going to talk about me like I was some kind of charity case, I wanted proof. 20 minutes later, my patience paid off. Mom, are you still up? Naomi's voice came through the speaker. Just finishing the dishes. What is it? I've been thinking more about our conversation, about Cameron. I hit record. Naomi, please, it's late. No, listen, I think I have a solution. What if we presented it as a gift, like, Cameron, you've worked so hard, you deserve a break. We're hiring someone to help with Dad so you can focus on yourself. She'd never agree to that. She would if we made it sound like it was for her benefit. We could even film it for my channel. Surprising my sister with the gift of freedom, or something like that. My followers would eat it up. The sound of running water stopped. You want to film giving your sister a caregiver? Why not? It's inspirational. Shows that family takes care of family, but also that we support each other's growth and independence. That's actually not a terrible idea. My stomach dropped, right? And honestly, it would solve a lot of problems. Cameron gets her life back, Dad gets professional care, and we don't have to worry about the whole situation anymore. What do you mean, worry about it? Mom, come on. You know what I mean. Cameron's becoming weird. Like, really weird. Did you see how she acted tonight? She barely spoke to anyone. She looked like she wanted to disappear. And when I tried to include her in the live stream, she got all awkward and stiff. She's tired. She's always tired. That's the problem. She's turned into this, I don't know what to call it, this ghost person who just shuffles around the house in sweatpants. It's depressing. She's doing important work. Is she, though? Because I looked into it, and there are agencies that provide way better care than what Cameron's doing. Professional nurses, physical therapists, people who actually know what they're doing. not just someone who learned everything from YouTube videos. The recorder kept running. I could barely breathe. Cameron's been taking excellent care of your father. Has she? Or has she just been existing? Because there's a difference between caregiving and just making sure someone doesn't die on your watch. Naomi, I'm serious, Mom. When's the last time Dad had a real conversation with someone? When's the last time he left this house for something other than a doctor's appointment? Cameron's not helping him live. She's just helping him survive. And that's not the same thing. Silence stretched between them. Maybe you have a point, Mom said finally. I know I do. And here's the thing. Cameron's never going to leave on her own. This setup is too comfortable for her. Free room and board, no real responsibilities, no pressure to figure out her life. She's basically retired at 32. That's not fair, isn't it? Mom, be honest. What does Cameron actually do all day? She gives Dad his medications, she helps him eat, she watches TV with him. That's maybe 4 hours of actual work. The rest of the time, she's just here, taking up space. She does more than that. Like what? Laundry, cleaning, things that take maybe an hour? Mom, I hire someone to clean my apartment twice a week and it takes them 3 hours to do the whole place. This house isn't that big. More silence. I'm not saying Cameron's lazy, Naomi continued. I'm saying she's stuck, and sometimes people need a push to get unstuck. Hiring professional care would be that push. It would be expensive. Not as expensive as supporting Cameron forever. Think about it. Right now, she's using Dad's disability money. She's living here rent-free. She's eating our food, using our utilities. Add it all up, and we're probably spending more on Cameron than we would on a professional service. I never thought of it that way, because you're too nice to think of it that way. But I'm not. I love Cameron, but I also love this family. And right now, this situation isn't working for anyone. Dad's not getting better, Cameron's not getting better, and we're all just pretending everything's fine. So what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we take control of the situation. We hire the service, we present it as a gift, and we give Cameron a deadline to figure out what she wants to do next. 6 months, maybe a year. Enough time to get back on her feet, but not so much time that she can just drift forever. And if she refuses, she won't. Not if we frame it right. And if she does, well, then we'll know this was never really about Dad. It was about Cameron being afraid to face the real world. The conversation ended with them making plans to research care agencies in the morning. I turned off the recorder and stared at my phone screen. 43 minutes of audio. 43 minutes of my mother and sister dissecting my life like I was some kind of problem to be solved. I looked over at Dad, still sleeping peacefully in his hospital bed. The man who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd walked me to school every day until I was old enough to go alone, who'd cried when I graduated college. I'm sorry, Dad, I whispered. I'm so sorry. But I wasn't apologizing for what I was about to do. I was apologizing for what they'd made me become. I waited until 2 a.m. before opening my laptop. The house was silent except for Dad's steady breathing and the occasional creak of old wood settling. I'd done this research before, months ago, during one of my darker moments when I'd wondered what would happen if I just left. But I'd never followed through. Tonight was different. The first search result was Premier Home Care Services. Their website looked professional, sterile, smiling nurses in scrubs, testimonials from grateful families, a price calculator that made my eyes water, 24-hour care, $4,800 per week. I pulled up my banking app. The settlement account showed $127,000. Dad's disability and Social Security went into a separate account, $3,200 monthly. I'd been careful with the money, using it only for his medical needs and equipment. Mom and Naomi had no idea how much was left. My personal savings account showed $23,000, 3 years of living expenses saved from my old severance package, and the small stipend Mom insisted on giving me for personal needs. Money I'd barely touched because I never went anywhere or bought anything. I opened a new browser tab and searched for train schedules to the city. The 6:15 a.m. departure would get me to Penn Station by 9:30. I could be at Sydney's apartment before she left for work. Sydney. I hadn't called her in 4 months. The last conversation had been awkward, full of long pauses and her careful questions about when I might visit. I'd made excuses, as always, but Sydney was the kind of friend who'd answer her phone at 3 a.m. if you needed her. I scrolled through my contacts and found her number, then opened a text message. I know it's been forever, and I know this is crazy, but I need to ask you something. Can I crash at your place for a few days? I'll explain everything when I see you. Please. I stared at the message for 10 minutes before hitting send. The response came back in less than 5 minutes. Holy shit, Cameron. Yes, of course. Are you okay? Do you need me to come get you? I'm fine. I'll take the train. I'll explain everything tomorrow. My spare key is still in the same place. Come whenever you want. I'm here. I closed the phone and went back to the care agency website. They had a 24-hour intake line. I dialed the number. Premier Home Care, this is Jessica. How can I help you? I need to arrange immediate care for my father. He's disabled, needs full-time assistance. Of course. Can you tell me about his condition and care needs? I rattled off Dad's medical history, his daily routine, his medications. Jessica asked detailed questions about mobility, feeding, cognitive function, professional questions that no one in my family had ever bothered to ask me. Based on what you've described, I'd recommend our comprehensive care package. That includes a registered nurse for medical needs and a certified aide for daily living assistance. The cost would be $4,800 per week, with a minimum commitment of 4 weeks. That's fine. When can someone start? We can have a team there tomorrow morning if you can provide payment authorization tonight. I gave her Dad's information, the address, and my credit card number. The charge was $1,900 for 4 weeks of care. My savings account balance dropped to $3,800. We'll need a detailed care plan and emergency contact information, Jessica continued. Will you be the primary contact? No. My mother, Eloise. I'll text you her number. And where will you be if we need to reach you? I won't be available. This is a family emergency situation. My mother will handle everything from here. After I hung up, I sat staring at the laptop screen. The care agency would arrive at 8 a.m. Mom and Naomi would wake up to strangers in their house and a bill that would drain Dad's settlement fund in 6 months. I opened a new document and started typing. Mom and Naomi, you were right. I needed a push to get unstuck. Consider this my push. Premier Home Care will be here at 8 a.m. to take over Dad's care. They're professionals like you wanted. The first month is paid for. After that, you'll need to figure out the finances yourselves. I've left detailed care instructions in Dad's room. Don't try to contact me. I need time to figure out my life, just like you suggested. Cameron. I printed the letter and left it on the kitchen counter, weighted down with the salt shaker. Then I went to Dad's room and pulled out a notebook. For the next 2 hours, I wrote down everything. His medication schedule, his physical therapy exercises, his food preferences, the signs that meant he was in pain or uncomfortable. Things I'd learned through 3 years of trial and error, things no professional would know just by looking at him. I filled 12 pages with details about my father's care. Details that Mom and Naomi had never bothered to learn because they'd always assumed I'd be there to handle it. At 5 a.m., I packed a single backpack, 2 changes of clothes, my laptop, my phone charger, and the folder containing all of Dad's medical records. Everything else could stay. I knelt beside Dad's bed. He was still sleeping, his face peaceful in the dim light from the hallway. I'm sorry, Dad, I know this isn't what you'd want, but I can't do this anymore. They think I'm just existing here, just taking up space. Maybe they're right. I kissed his forehead, the way I had every night for 3 years. The people coming to take care of you are professionals. They'll do a better job than I ever did. I shouldered my backpack and walked out of the room without looking back. The front door closed behind me with a soft click. I'd left my keys on the kitchen counter next to the letter. The The walk to the train station took 20 minutes. The ticket machine accepted my credit card, and I bought a one-way ticket to Penn Station. As I sat on the platform, waiting for the 6:15 train, my phone started buzzing. Mom's name appeared on the screen, then Naomi's, then Mom again. I turned the phone to silent and slipped it into my backpack. The train pulled into the station right on time. The train car was nearly empty at 6:15 a.m. I chose a window seat and watched my hometown disappear behind me, block by block. The conductor checked my ticket with a polite nod, and I settled in for the 3-hour ride to the city. My phone buzzed constantly in my backpack. I pulled it out once to see 17 missed calls and 12 text messages. The preview of Mom's latest message showed, "Cameron, please call us. We can talk about this. Don't do anything." I turned the phone off completely. At 7:45, while I was somewhere between small towns and rolling hills, Premier Home Care would be knocking on my family's door. I pictured Mom answering in her bathrobe, confused and panicked. I pictured Naomi stumbling downstairs, her perfect hair a mess, demanding to know what was happening. The train pulled into Penn Station at 9:32. I'd forgotten how overwhelming the city could be, the noise, the crowds, the constant movement. 3 years in my quiet suburban house had made me soft. Sydney's apartment was a 20-minute subway ride to Brooklyn. I found the spare key exactly where she'd left it 3 years ago, tucked behind the loose brick by her front door. Some things never changed. Her apartment looked the same too. Bright yellow walls, plants everywhere, books stacked on every surface. The guest room, my old room, when I'd lived here briefly after college, still had the same blue comforter, and the desk where I used to work late into the night. I dropped my backpack and sat on the bed. The silence felt different here. Not the heavy medical silence of Dad's room, but the alive silence of a place where people lived full lives. My phone buzzed from inside the backpack. I turned it back on during the subway ride. Sydney's name appeared on the screen. "Cameron, oh my God, are you okay? I got your text and I've been worried sick." "I'm at your apartment. I used the spare key." "Good, that's good. I'm in a meeting, but I can leave. What happened? Are you hurt?" "I'm not hurt. I left." "Left what? Left home?" "Left everything. My family, my dad, all of it. I just walked away." Silence on the other end. "Sydney? I'm here. Wow. Okay, this is big. Are you sure you're okay?" "I don't know. I think so. I think I'm better than I've been in years. I'm coming home. Give me an hour." "You don't have to." "Cameron, you haven't left that house in 3 years, and now you're in my apartment talking about walking away from everything. I'm coming home." She hung up before I could argue. I spent the next hour walking around her apartment, reacquainting myself with the world outside caregiving. Sydney had new photos on her refrigerator, vacations, friends, dinner parties. A life lived in full color while mine had faded to gray. Her bookshelf had new additions too: career development guides, a cookbook titled Cooking for One, a novel with a bookmark halfway through, evidence of someone who had time to read for pleasure. When Sydney's key turned in the lock, I was sitting at her kitchen table, staring at my phone. 43 missed calls now. The voicemails had stopped after number 15. "Cameron." Sydney dropped her purse and rushed over to hug me. "You look terrible?" "Different, older, tired." She sat across from me. "Tell me everything." So I did. I told her about the baby monitor, about the conversation I'd recorded, about the care agency and the letter I'd left. I played her the audio recording, watching her face change as she listened to Naomi and Mom dissect my life. "Jesus Christ," she said when it finished. "Your own family." They weren't wrong about everything. I was stuck. I had given up. That doesn't give them the right to talk about you like you're some kind of burden. Doesn't it? I was living in their house, using their resources, contributing nothing. You were taking care of your disabled father. I was hiding from everything, from life, from decisions, from the possibility of failing at something that mattered. Sydney leaned back in her chair. "So what now?" "I don't know. I have some money saved, enough for a few months if I'm careful. I need to find a job, find a place to live, start over. You can stay here as long as you need. I can't do that to you. You're not doing anything to me. You're my friend and you need help. My phone rang. Mom's name on the screen. Are you going to answer it? I stared at the phone until it stopped ringing. They hired professional care, right? Your dad's being taken care of? Better care than I was giving him, according to Naomi. Then let them figure it out. They wanted you gone. They got what they wanted. The phone rang again. This time it was Naomi. They're probably panicking about the money, I said. $4,800 a week adds up fast. How long will the settlement money last? 6 months, maybe 7 if they're careful. And then? Then they'll have to make some hard choices. The same choices I've been making alone for 3 years. Sydney reached across the table and took my hand. I'm proud of you. For abandoning my disabled father? For finally putting yourself first? For refusing to be invisible anymore? The phone rang a third time. I turned it off and slipped it into my pocket. I need to find a job, I said. Something, anything. I can't sit around feeling sorry for myself. I might be able to help with that. My company's looking for a project coordinator. It's not glamorous, but it's a start. Sydney, I can't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm offering. You have skills, Cameron. You managed a household, coordinated medical care, handled finances. That's project management. For the first time in hours, I felt something that might have been hope. What would I have to do? Show up, be competent, and remember that you're worth more than they made you believe. My phone buzzed with a text message. I pulled it out to see a notification from my bank. A deposit had been made to my account, $50,000. The sender was listed as B. Kent Estate Planning, Grandma Bianca. Holy shit, Sydney said, looking at my phone screen. $50,000? From your grandmother? I don't understand. Grandma Bianca lives in Florida. We barely talk. My phone rang immediately. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize, but the area code was Miami. Answer it, Sydney said. It might be her. I swiped to accept the call. Cameron, sweetheart, is that you? Grandma Bianca's voice was sharp and clear, despite her 80 years. Grandma, did you send me money? I certainly did, and I'm about to send you a lot more if what I'm hearing is true. What are you hearing? I'm hearing that my granddaughter finally grew a spine and walked away from that toxic situation. About damn time. I looked at Sydney, who was listening with wide eyes. How do you know what happened? I just left this morning. Your mother called me an hour ago, crying and carrying on about how you abandoned the family. She wanted me to talk sense into you, convince you to come home. And I told her exactly what I thought of her and that spoiled brat Naomi treating you like hired help for 3 years. Grandma, don't grandma me. I may be old, but I'm not blind. Every time Naomi posts those ridiculous photos online, I can see what's really happening. You in the background, exhausted and invisible, while she poses for the camera. You follow Naomi's social media? I follow everything, dear. How do you think I knew your mother was lying when she said you were happy taking care of your father? Sydney gestured for me to put the call on speaker. Grandma, I'm here with my friend Sydney. Can I put you on speaker? Of course. Hello, Sydney. I've heard wonderful things about you from Cameron's old letters. Hi, Mrs. Bianca? It's nice to finally talk to you. Likewise. Now, Cameron, I need you to listen carefully. I've been watching this situation for months, and I've been planning for this day. What do you mean? I mean, I've been waiting for you to finally stand up for yourself. The money I just sent you is the first installment. There's more coming. I can't accept. You can and you will. That money comes from your grandfather's life insurance policy. He always intended for it to go to his grandchildren, but I've been holding on to it until I was sure it would be used wisely. What about Naomi? What about her? Naomi has a career, an income, and apparently no problem exploiting her sister's kindness. She doesn't need my help. Sydney leaned toward the phone. Bianca, can I ask how you found out what happened this morning? Your mother called me at 7:30, absolutely hysterical. Professional caregivers had shown up at the house. Cameron was gone, and there was some enormous bill to pay. She wanted me to wire money immediately to cover the costs. What did you tell her? I told her that if she'd treated you with an ounce of respect, she wouldn't be in this position. Then I hung up and called my lawyer. Your lawyer? I'm revising my will, Cameron. Everything I was planning to split between your mother and Naomi is going to you instead. They can figure out their own lives. I felt dizzy. Grandma, that's too much. I can't. You can and you will. Your grandfather built a successful business from nothing. He'd be disgusted to see how his son's family treated you. Dad didn't treat me badly. He's sick. Your father is sick, yes, but your mother and sister aren't. They made a choice to use you, and now they're facing the consequences. Sydney grabbed my hand across the table. There's something else, Grandma Bianca continued. I called that care agency after your mother hung up on me. You called Premier Home Care? I wanted to understand exactly what kind of financial hole your family had dug for themselves. Do you know what 4 weeks of professional care costs? $19,000. And do you know how long your father's settlement money will last at that rate? About 6 months. Less than that, actually, because they'll need medical supplies, equipment maintenance, and additional services that aren't included in the basic package. I'd estimate 4 months, maybe 5. Sydney whistled low. What happens after that? I asked. Well, they have a few options. They can sell the house to pay for care. They can move your father to a facility, or they can swallow their pride and beg you to come back. I'm not going back. Good, you shouldn't. But Cameron, I need you to understand something. This isn't just about money or revenge. This is about your family learning that actions have consequences. What do you mean? I mean your mother and sister spent 3 years taking you for granted. They assumed you'd always be there, always be willing to sacrifice yourself for their convenience. Now they're learning what your presence was actually worth. My phone buzzed with a text message. Mom again. They're still trying to reach me, I said. Let them try. You don't owe them anything right now. Take time to figure out what you want, not what they need. I'm scared, Grandma. I don't know how to live a normal life anymore. Sweetheart, you're 32 years old. You have a college degree, work experience, and more strength than you realize. You'll figure it out. What if I can't? Then you'll figure that out too, but you'll do it on your own terms, not theirs. After we hung up, Sydney and I sat in silence for a few minutes. Your grandmother is badass, Sydney finally said. She always was. I just forgot. So what now? You've got money, you've got a place to stay, and you've got a family that's about to learn some very expensive lessons. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a notification from Naomi's Instagram. Oh God, I said, opening the app. She posted something. The post was a photo of Dad in his wheelchair, looking confused and upset. The caption read, "Prayers needed for our family today. We're going through a difficult time and could use your support. Family crisis. Wanj prayers, wanj hard times." The comments were already pouring in. What happened? Sending love and prayers. Where's your sister, the one who takes care of your dad? Is Cameron okay? She's usually in your family posts. Sydney read over my shoulder. She's trying to control the narrative. It's not going to work. People are already asking questions. Good. Let them ask. Let her try to explain where the family saint disappeared to. I closed the app and looked at Sydney. I think I'm ready for that job interview. 3 days later, I was sitting in Sydney's office building, waiting for my interview with her boss. I'd bought a simple black blazer and slacks with some of Grandma Bianca's money. the first new clothes I'd purchased in 2 years. My phone had been buzzing nonstop since Monday. I'd finally turned it back on that morning to find 67 missed calls and 43 text messages. The most recent one from Mom was just, "Please, we need to talk." "Cameron?" A woman in her 40s appeared in the waiting area. "I'm Rachel, Sydney's manager. Thanks for coming in." The interview lasted 30 minutes. Rachel asked about my experience managing Dad's care, coordinating with doctors and insurance companies, handling medical schedules and equipment. When she put it that way, it sounded like actual job skills instead of just existing. "Sydney mentioned you're available to start immediately?" "Yes, I have some family obligations that recently resolved themselves." "Perfect. We can offer you $45,000 to start, with benefits after 90 days. How does that sound?" I almost cried. It was less than I'd made in the city before, but it was mine. Earned by me, for me. That sounds wonderful. "Great. Can you start Monday?" I walked out of the building with a job offer and something I hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. Sydney was waiting at a coffee shop around the corner. "Well?" "I got it." She screamed and hugged me right there on the sidewalk. "I'm so proud of you." My phone rang. Naomi's name flashed on the screen. "You should answer it," Sydney said. "You're going to have to deal with them eventually." I swiped to accept. "Cameron, thank God. We've been trying to reach you for days." "I know. I got your messages." "Then why haven't you called back? Do you have any idea what's happening here?" "I assume the care agency is taking good care of Dad." "The care agency is bankrupting us. Do you know how much this costs?" "I know exactly how much it costs. I'm the one who hired them." Silence. "You hired them?" "I called Premier Home Care Sunday night and arranged everything. I even left detailed care instructions for Dad. You're welcome." "Cameron, you can't be serious. We can't afford this." "Then you'll need to figure something out. Maybe get a real job instead of taking selfies all day." "That's not fair." "What's not fair is listening to you and Mom call me a glorified maid with no future. What's not fair is 3 years of being invisible in my own family." "We never said—" "I have a recording, Naomi. 43 minutes of you and Mom discussing how pathetic my life is and how I'm just using Dad as an excuse to avoid growing up." Another long silence. "You recorded us?" The baby monitor was on. I heard every word. "Cameron, you don't understand. We were just what? Just being honest? Just discussing how to get rid of me? Just planning to film yourselves giving me the gift of freedom for your stupid blog?" It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. And now you get to live with the consequences. The consequences. "Cameron, Dad is asking for you. He doesn't understand where you went." That hit harder than I expected. "The nurses can explain." "He doesn't want the nurses. He wants his daughter." "Then maybe you should try being his daughter for once instead of his photographer." That's not fair. Neither is abandoning your family responsibilities for 3 years while your sister handles everything. I had my own life, and now I'm having mine. I could hear voices in the background. Mom was saying something urgent. "Mom wants to talk to you," Naomi said. "I don't want to talk to Mom." "Cameron, please, we can work this out." "There's nothing to work out. You wanted professional care for Dad, you got it. You wanted me to get unstuck and figure out my life, I'm doing that too. Everyone's getting exactly what they asked for." "We didn't ask for this." "Yes, you did. You just didn't think about what it would actually cost." Sydney was listening to my side of the conversation, nodding encouragingly. "The care agency says they need to discuss long-term arrangements," Naomi continued. "The current contract runs out in 3 weeks. Then discuss it with them. We need to know what our options are. Your options are pay for professional care, move Dad to a facility, or figure out how to take care of him yourselves. We don't know how. Then learn. I did." "Cameron, you're being cruel." "I'm being honest. the same way you were honest about me being a professional dependent with no future. We didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it then? Because it sounded pretty clear to me. Mom's voice got louder in the background. I could hear her saying, "Let me talk to her." "Mom's really upset," Naomi said. "She's been crying for 3 days." "I'm sorry she's upset, but I'm not responsible for managing her emotions anymore." "You're not responsible for anything anymore, apparently." "That's right. For the first time in 3 years, I'm only responsible for myself, and it feels amazing." "What about Dad?" "Dad is getting professional care from qualified nurses. According to you, that's better than what I was providing anyway." "We never said—" "You said I learned everything from YouTube videos. You said professional services would be better. You got what you wanted." "Cameron, please come home. We can talk about this." "I am home. I have a job. I have a place to live, and I have a family that actually values me." "We value you." "No, you don't. You valued what I did for you. There's a difference." I hung up and turned off the phone. Sydney was staring at me with something like awe. "Damn, girl, that was brutal." "Was it too much?" "Are you kidding? That was 3 years of suppressed anger finally getting its day in court." "I feel sick." "You feel free. There's a difference." My phone buzzed with a text message before I could turn it off completely. It was from a number I didn't recognize. "Cameron, this is Luke from Premier Home Care. We need to discuss your father's care plan. The family is requesting changes to the service level, but we need authorization from the person who set up the account. Can you call me?" I showed the text to Sydney. "They're trying to downgrade his care to save money," she said. "Good luck with that. I'm not authorizing anything." 2 weeks into my new job, I was reviewing project timelines when my personal phone rang. The caller ID showed Luke Premier Care. "Cameron, I'm sorry to bother you, but we have a situation." "What kind of situation?" "Your family has stopped paying for services. The account is 3 days overdue, and they're not returning our calls." I looked around the office. My co-workers were focused on their computers, living normal lives where family drama didn't follow them to work. "That's between you and them, Luke. I'm not the client anymore." "Actually, you are. The original contract was signed by you with your credit card. Legally, you're still responsible for the account." My stomach dropped. "But they're living in the house. They're the ones receiving the services." "The services are for your father, but the contract is with you. If payment isn't received by Friday, we'll have to terminate care." I hung up and immediately called the credit card company. 20 minutes on hold, then another 20 minutes explaining the situation to a supervisor. "I understand your concern, ma'am, but you did authorize the charges. However, since you're disputing them, we can freeze the account pending investigation." "How long does that take?" 7 to 10 business days. "And what happens to the care services during that time?" "That would be between you and the vendor." I called Luke back. "The credit card is frozen pending a dispute investigation. You'll need to work out payment arrangements directly with my family." "Cameron, I have to be honest with you. We've dealt with situations like this before. Families who can't afford long-term care often try to manipulate the original contact into resuming responsibility." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying your mother called this morning asking if we could work something out until you come to your senses." "And what did you tell her?" "I told her we're a business, not a charity. If they can't pay, they need to make other arrangements." "What kind of other arrangements?" "Medicaid facility placement, family care, or private payment plans. Those are the options." After I hung up, I sat staring at my computer screen for 10 minutes. Then I opened a new browser tab and searched for Naomi's Instagram. Her latest post was from that morning, a photo of Dad looking confused and upset with 2 professional caregivers in the background. The caption read, "Heartbroken to share that we're facing an impossible situation. Professional care costs are beyond what our family can handle, but we're committed to keeping Dad comfortable and loved. If anyone has experience with care options or resources, please reach out. Give family struggle, each caregiving, help needed." The comments were brutal. Where's Cameron? She was always taking care of him before. Wait, didn't you just post about how blessed your family was? This seems like something you should handle privately, not on social media. Are you asking for money? This feels like a GoFundMe setup. I scrolled down and found the comment I was looking for. I've been following your family for years, and something doesn't add up. Your sister disappeared right when you needed her most? What really happened? Naomi had replied, family situations are complicated. We're focusing on Dad's needs right now. But someone else had responded, complicated how? Did Cameron abandon you guys? Or did something else happen? The thread continued for dozens of comments, with people asking increasingly pointed questions about where I was and why the family was suddenly struggling financially. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Cameron, this is Clara from Premier Care. I'm the nurse assigned to your father's case. I wanted you to know that he's been asking for you every day. He doesn't understand why you're not here. I thought you should know. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, how is he doing medically? He's stable, but he's depressed. He barely eats when your mother or sister try to feed him. He perks up when we mention your name. Are you trying to guilt me into coming back? No. I'm trying to give you information so you can make informed decisions. Your father is aware enough to know something has changed, and he's grieving. I closed my eyes and leaned back in my chair. What would happen if care services ended? Honestly, your family isn't equipped to handle his needs. Your mother tried to give him his medications yesterday and got the dosages wrong. Your sister can't lift him for transfers. Without professional help, he'd need to be placed in a facility. What kind of facility? On Medicaid? Probably a state nursing home. The waiting lists are long and the quality varies significantly. I opened my laptop and pulled up my bank account. Between Grandma Bianca's gift and my new salary, I had enough to cover Dad's care for several months, but that wasn't the point anymore. I called Luke back. I want to make a proposal. I'll cover 1 more month of care, but only if my family agrees to specific conditions. What kind of conditions? They have 30 days to arrange alternative care or payment. After that, I'm done completely. No more emergency calls, no more guilt trips, no more manipulation. And if they can't arrange anything, then they'll have to make the same hard choices I've been making alone for 3 years. I'll present the offer to them. There's one more thing. I want a written agreement that after this month, my name comes off everything. No more legal responsibility, no more financial obligation. I can draft something like that. Good. Send it to my email. An hour later, Luke called back. Your mother accepted the terms. She's agreed to sign the release documents. What about Naomi? She wasn't happy about it, but she signed too. Did they say anything else? Your mother asked if there was any way you'd consider coming back after the 30 days. What did you tell her? I told her that wasn't part of our agreement. That evening, I sat in Sydney's apartment with a glass of wine and my laptop open to Naomi's Instagram. She'd posted again, this time a photo of herself looking exhausted and overwhelmed. Learning to be a caregiver overnight. It's harder than it looks. Grateful for the professionals helping us, but missing the family member who made this look effortless. Caregiving, family, chawarsa, learning, grateful. The comments were different this time. Where is Cameron? People are asking. This is the first time you've acknowledged how hard caregiving is. Maybe you should have appreciated your sister more when she was doing this job. Are you finally understanding what Cameron sacrificed for your family? I closed the laptop and looked at Sydney, who was reading on the couch. Do you think I'm doing the right thing? I think you're doing the only thing that will teach them what your presence was actually worth. But what if Dad ends up in a terrible facility? Then your family will have to live with that choice, just like you had to live with theirs. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Cameron, I know you're angry, but please don't let your father suffer because of our mistakes. I typed back, "Dad isn't suffering because of my choices. He's suffering because of yours." She responded immediately, "We're sorry. We didn't mean those things we said. You meant them when you said them. You just don't like the consequences. What can we do to fix this?" I stared at the message for a long time before responding. "You can learn to value people before you lose them. You can take responsibility for your choices, and you can stop expecting me to fix problems I didn't create. Does this mean you're never coming home?" I looked around Sydney's apartment, my temporary home that was starting to feel permanent. I thought about my new job, my new independence, my new life where I mattered. I am home. I turned off my phone and poured myself another glass of wine. In the silence of my new life, I realized something important. Karma wasn't some cosmic force that eventually balanced the scales. Sometimes karma was just the courage to stop accepting less than you deserved, and sometimes the best revenge was simply refusing to be invisible anymore.